top of
Yeah, you
YouTube,
should
so
be able
we
to see
only
it
get
on my channel now, Ben.
Oh God, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, we get peanuts. Man, I just had this. Where was it? Oh, you know what? I can pull it up here.
The alien interview. That's why they shut down the stream. You had the word alien in there.
Those jerks.
Maybe you should rename it and call it the visitor video, the visitors video, or something like that. Out of space visitors video.
Is that the first time they shut down your
that
stream?
power is greatly misguided to protect mankind.
I'm trying to find that on YouTube. I have it downloaded. I'm trying to find it on YouTube so I can get the chapters. Where was the link? Copy link address. There we go. Should be it.
I got a link in there in the private chat for you from Trance Music, from a YouTube channel.
You said what?
Some good music I found on the YouTube, electronic music, royalty free.
Oh, nice. I'll have to take a look at it. Thank you. I like that electronic music you were playing.
There are a number of compelling and heretofore
Okay, so here we have all the chapters, and there's a couple of things that I wanted to take a look at. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. A lesson in ancient history, a timeline of events, religion double speak, tree of life.
That's so funny.
What?
Religion double speak. To have that in the same sentence. That's kind of funny.
Anything look interesting that you think we should jump into?
Yeah, the religion double speak one. What's that?
Okay.
school notebook paper, which I assumed had been written personally by Mrs. McElroy. 2, notes typed on a manual typewriter on plain white 20-pound bond paper, which I am assuming were prepared personally by her. At least both had the appearance of having been written in the same handwriting and or typed in the same typewriter consistently throughout. The writing in the notes I received also appeared to be the same as the writing on the address and return envelope of the manila envelope I received from Navan, Ireland, which was postmarked on September 3rd, 2007. Since I am not a forensic expert or handwriting analyst, my opinion in these matters is not a professionally qualified judgment. 3, many types of typewritten transcriptions of her interview with the alien. These were obviously typed on a different typewriter. These pages were typed on a different type of paper and showed apparent signs of age and repeated handling. None of these notes were assembled in any particular order or by date, except were indicated by a sentence or paragraph of preamble or explanation by her, or by extrapolation from the context of the pages. Voltaire is quoted as having said, "History is a Mississippi of lies." According to the comments made by the alien in the interview transcripts supplied by Mrs. McElroy, the fundamental lesson of history is that many, many gods have become men, but very few men, if any, have returned to being a god again. According to the alien being Errol, if anything he, she, or it supposedly communicated can be trusted, and if the translation or interpretation of this alleged communication is accurate, the history of this universe is a river of lies, down which the might and freedom of all powerful godlike immortal spiritual beings ended and was lost in a sea of matter and mortality. Furthermore, according to the very direct and undiplomatic statements made, which seem to express the personal opinion of the alien, if one were traveling the far reaches of the universe in search of a place called Hell, it would be an accurate description of Earth and the inhabitants in its current condition. To further
Wow, the alien straight up called Earth hell. What? WTF? I mean,
Yeah, well, that's funny.
Cheers,
the Cathards
right?
call it
They
that,
have
too.
a point. They have a point on that.
They
one.
do. They do.
The
I'm not gonna
Cathards-
lie. It's kind of depressing.
The Cathards say, heaven and hell exist here on earth.
Yeah. No, that's a good point, Mike. That's a very good point. I don't
That's
know.
their belief.
I don't know. It's interesting. I think I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break and go to the bathroom real quick. And I don't know. I don't want to leave this playing. So if you guys have anything to discuss or present, just feel free. I'm gonna take a quick 5-minute.
Play that music in the private chat.
Yeah, the music. Okay, I'll load it up right now. We can all
That's some good
party
stuff.
hardy.
I'm
Well,
so
I
happy
really
I
like
found
the
it.
techno music you were playing.
Only thing is, that guy's channel, he makes great music, but most of it has that same awesome beat, though. You know how they do that sometimes, musicians. They use that same type of thing.
You said it's royalty free.
Yeah, it's royalty free.
This is the stuff that you've been streaming, huh?
Sorry, I'm still also participating in the APEC backstage discussion going on, so I'm back and forth here. My apologies.
No, you're good. Let me just make sure. It doesn't say royalty free.
It is.
Oh, yeah. All content in this sample pack is 100% royalty free. Oh, no. Once purchased, you can use these sounds with your own commercial music with no restrictions. I don't know if I can do that because I'm monetized. Yeah, I'm monetized. It's like they penalized me for logging into the wrong AdSense account, but it wasn't like any kind of strike or anything. I got penalized for 30 days, but I am monetized.
Wild, hey?
Yeah, so I accidentally signed into, you clear your cache and cookies and your password. You got to log in again, and I accidentally logged into the wrong email for my AdSense, and it created a new one, and it's like, oh, well, you have two. Now we're going to shut you down. I'm like, what? No? What? That was an accident. Yeah, but I mean, I guess apparently it's common. They're just, they suck. You suck.
Any excuse to ding you down one, right? Just take you down one.
Right. Well, I mean, at the very least, the music in StreamYard should be safe, right? So I'll play this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna take a quick 5-minute break, and I'll be back, guys. You guys feel free to discuss anything you want to, or present anything you want to.
So what does that mean? You can't use it because he's monetized. But it's a sample
you have to purchase it, then you can use it. So if you're not monetized, you could probably use it and get away with it. But then once you start making money off of it, you have to buy the license.
But it said the sample pack was royalty free. Isn't that the link I sent you? Is the sample pack?
Yeah, and honestly, I've seen that before because I was doing the same thing before I went to go to Motion Array, and Motion Array is what I've been using for all my licensed content regarding music. That and
Why do they
YouTube
complicate
Studio.
Things?
I know it's so complicated.
It's royalty free as soon as you buy it one time. Is all. That's all. So that's probably, you got to buy it one time, then you can use it all you want.
Yeah, but if you're gonna buy this one time, and that one time, and that one time, and that it's
this track is 3 hours long. This sample pack. So you buy this 3-hour sample pack one time, and you use it all you want. It's royalty free if you're not monetized. You don't have to buy it. But if you are, you got to buy it, and you can use it all as many times as you want without paying twice for it. You just pay once. So that makes it royalty free because you only have to pay for it once.
But what if you get bored of it? You want something else?
Well, I don't know. It's 3 hours.
Take a variety.
It's pretty good. I think the beats are good. Really good beats. But
did you send it? Did you send it to me?
I don't know. It's in the private chat.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
And I looked at his channel, and most of the music is, the melodies and the audio, the tones are different, but the beat is similar. Musicians do that a lot. So I probably am not going to buy too many tracks from them.
I already listened to that. Yeah,
but it's awesome. The overall.
I have it. I'm subscribed to it. Yeah, Speed Sound. Yeah, I love this channel.
Yeah, you could listen to it for a few hours, once a week. I don't think every day though. I like to switch it up on the music.
Me too. I follow a bunch of different, music channels, like electronic music. I love it. It gives me energy.
There's a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah.
Electronic music on YouTube and just wherever. Most of it's on YouTube, but
my music starts like literally at like 8:30.
Euro Nation. Gotta go to Euro Nation.
Yeah, I think I heard of them. Yeah, they're good too. Yeah, the Europeans make really good electronic music. They're probably the best. The Germans, Berlin. I've been to Berlin. That place is full of. All they do is blast, electronic music that you've never heard before. Like the kind of stuff you've never heard before.
The good stuff.
every bar is like the wall. The width of the entrance is like a door or whatever, but the width of the whole place is like 15 feet wide by,
Amsterdam.
60 feet deep.
In Amsterdam,
with
they have
30-foot ceilings, though. Tall ceilings.
What is it called? Hidden Nazi bunkers.
Yeah, they just make a bar out of every place in the centers over there, a bar, and they blast electronic music, and every place is playing like. It's a different type of electronic music. It's pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm not an I like to play the real instrument. I'm in favor of that as regarding music, but in the long run, that's where I end up with music, with the real instrument, But
yeah,
in the short run, I'm impressed with electronic music. As a musician, I'm impressed. It's good stuff. Compared to the rock that's been coming out lately, I'm not going to
listen to this band called Polynesia or something, and they're a rock band, but they like play the electric guitar. My God,
Taylor
really,
Swift?
really good.
Some of Taylor Swift is okay, it's quality music.
But I don't like music with words. Once
but
they
a lot
have
of
words,
it's
it ruins it.
A lot of it's fanfare, It's like cartoonish, music.
Somebody in the comment is asking me, do I like hip hop abduction? I've never heard of it. But sounds interesting.
Like, what was the other female artist? He did that, all them songs. You're like a firework or whatever was her name. Katy Perry. It's similar to Taylor Swift music. It's all to hype up the fanfare, kind of music. It's not for the music, it's for the fans. It's not for the music, it's for the fans. So the music is not written for the music, it's written for the fans. If you see what I'm saying. It's written to attract the fans, what they want to hear, the beats or whatever that they want to hear, But when music is written for the music, it's a whole different thing.
Okay, listen to this band. It's called Polyphia. Polyphia.
Put a link.
I can't. For some reason I can't. Yeah.
Spell that again. What?
Polyphia. Yeah, and put the song "Playing God." It's one of the most mesmerizing guitar music that you could ever hear. Or just search YouTube "Playing God" and you'll see it.
I have a couple of tracks that I released on Reverb Nation. They're nothing good, but you guys are welcome to listen to them if you want.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So we're talking about
You
music.
can't beat that. Real musicians can beat electronic music if they want to. That's all I'm saying.
If you want to listen to really good electronic rock and psychedelic music, listen to Voyage 34 by Porcupine Tree.
That's some good stuff, Polypia. There,
yeah, really good stuff. I know. And there's another one. His name is Lee McKinney. He also plays like good guitar music.
You heard of Matteo Mancuso?
No.
Okay, hold on. I'll post a link in the private chat. I don't want any banning going on here in the stream, but he's a young guitar player, amazing.
But do check out the Lee McKinney. He's also on another level.
Okay. Check the private chat.
Let me see that.
Lee what? McKinney?
Mortality.
Lee McKinney?
McKinney. Okay.
What is it?
Ooh, I found a good chapter that we can listen to. Give me 1 second and I'll load it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for music, feel free to put them in the chat. We can't listen to them on stream, obviously, but you know, I'll check them out for sure. I don't know. You guys like the lo-fi or the lo-fi music in the background, or?
Yeah, I'm down with lo-fi. Can we see if there's some that's got like the binaural beats added in, or some of the solfeggios potentially, right?
It only has a couple of options here. So it only has like a handful of options, and it has an add music option for adding your own.
Fair enough.
If you have a track, I can add it. I can search Motion Array.
Another channel is called Sumerian Records. Also, they play really good music.
So, yeah, all this is good music, but of my favorite right now, that's Greg Howie. He's off the chain, dude. He's well known.
Not seeing any on Motion Array. Anyways, they got a chapter on Nikola Tesla here that I wanted to listen to. I guess the alien had some information apparently on Nikola Tesla and the evolution of our species.
Let's hear it.
View, Chapter 11, A Lesson in Science. Matilda O'Donnell McElroy, personal note. The transcript of this interview is verbatim. There's nothing more I can add to it. It says everything. Official transcript of interview, top secret. Official transcript of the U.S. Army Air Force, Roswell Army Airfield, 509th Bomb Group. Subject, alien interview, July 29, 1947, first session. Today, Errol told me some very technical things. I took a few notes to remind myself so I can repeat what she said. As closely as possible. She began with an analogy about scientific knowledge. Can you imagine how much progress could have been made on Earth if people like Johannes Gutenberg, Sir Isaac Newton, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington Carver, Nikola Tesla, Jonas Salk, and Richard Trevithick, and many thousands of similar geniuses and inventors were living today? Imagine what technical accomplishments might have been developed if men like these never died. What if they were never given amnesia and made to forget everything they knew? What if they continued to learn and work forever? What level?
Our world would be completely different. Completely different. That's for sure.
pinnacle of technology and civilization could be attained if immortal spiritual beings like these were allowed to continue to create in the same place at the same time for billions or trillions of years. Essentially, the domain is one civilization that has existed for trillions of years with relatively uninterrupted progress. Knowledge has been accumulated, refined, and improved upon in nearly every field of study imaginable and beyond imagining. Originally, the interaction of ISBE illusions or inventions created the very fabric of the physical universe, the microcosm and the macrocosm. Originally, the interaction of ISBE illusions or inventions created the very fabric of the physical universe, the microcosm and the macrocosm. Every single particle of the universe has been imagined and brought into existence by an ISBE. Everything created from an idea, a thought, with no weight or size or location in space.
Not sure what they're referring to here by ISBE. It must be some kind of context referred to previously in the audiobook. This is quite a bit of the way through the audiobook. We're not going through the whole 4 hours, obviously.
Speck of dust in space from the size of the tiniest subatomic particle to the size of a sun or Magellanic to the size of a sun or a Magellantic cloud, the size of many galaxies, was created from the nothingness of a thought. Even the tiniest individual cells were contrived and coordinated to enable a microbial entity to sense and navigate through infinitesimally small spaces. These also
You know what? I think it might be a better idea if I just read this myself. And that way we can just safeguard ourselves from further scrutiny. You and every ISBE on Earth have participated in the creation of this universe. Even though you are now confined to a fragile body made of flesh, you live for only 65 short rotations of your planet around a star. You have been given overwhelming electric shock treatment to wipe out your memory. You must learn everything all over again each lifetime. In spite of all these circumstances, you are who you are and will always be. And deep down, you still know that you are and what you know. You are still the essence of you. I mean, as beautiful as that sentence is, it does scream to me Scientology, and maybe, I don't know, maybe L. Ron Hubbard borrowed some of his creation origin story from this story. I have no idea. He was a science fiction writer, but that's interesting. But again, I'm still slightly skeptical due to the fact that this is kind of similar to Scientology's origin.
So came from an idea thought up by
How else can one understand the child prodigy, an ISBE who plays concertos on a piano at 3 years of age without formal training? Impossible if they did not simply remember what they have already learned from thousands of years spent in front of a keyboard in times untold, or on planets far away. They may not know how they know. They just know. Humankind has developed more technology in the past 100 years than in the previous 2,000 years. Why? The answer is simple. The influence of the old empire over the mind and over the affairs of mankind has been diminished by the domain. I guess the domain is something else referred to in the book as well that we do not have context of at this point.
Concertos on a piano.
A renaissance of invention on Earth began in 1250 AD with the destruction of the old empire, space fleet in the solar system. During the next 500 years, Earth may have the potential to regain autonomy and independence, but only to the degree that humankind can apply the concentrated genius of the Isbis on Earth to solve the amnesia problem. However, on a cautionary note, the inventive potential of the Isbis who have been exiled to this planet is severely compromised by the criminal elements of the Earth population, specifically politicians, warmongers, and irresponsible physicists who create unlimited weapons such as nuclear bombs, chemicals, diseases, social chaos. These have the potential to extinguish all life forms on Earth forever. And this is another common theme that we see playing out and unfolding within our very eyes. You know, our macroeconomic system is specifically holding us back, you know, buying the politicians, you know, fueling the warmongers, and backing the irresponsible physicists. Even the relatively small explosions that were tested and used in the past 2 years on Earth have the potential to destroy all life if deployed in sufficient quantities. Larger weapons could consume all the oxygen in the global atmosphere in a single explosion. Therefore, the most fundamental problems that must be solved in order to ensure that Earth will not be destroyed by technology are social and humanitarian problems. The greatest scientific minds on Earth, in spite of mathematical or mechanical genius, have never addressed these problems. And this is another thing that we address on this channel specifically, is the forbidden science of analyzing capitalism's internal contradictions, which is the main key in understanding how, the constraints regarding the suppression of technology, the corruption of politicians and government, and why government specifically doesn't work for the people.
No, but at least in this country, the United States, it's of the people, even if it doesn't work.
Gentlemen, I gotta go. If I have an emergency, my car's not starting. Gotta figure it out.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the lights and everything starts, but I think it's the ignition key is not starting, and the starter. And I gotta solve it because I got.
Is it fully in park? Sometime if it's not fully in park, make sure that's.
No, it is, but here, let me show you what it's doing.
Or the wheel. Sometimes you have to lock the wheel a little bit.
I don't know. Here, no, let me get it in the car. There's something wrong with it. Like it's like
not turning over at all.
Okay, here, let me show you guys. Okay, can you see me? Okay, this is the dashboard. I start it, and it just won't start.
Then you got a large size.
The relay on your starter is stuck. The trick for that is you tap the starter with a wrench. I did that for like a year and a half on one truck I had.
Well, I'll come back on if I can fix it.
Well, if you know where the starter is, you could tap it with a wrench. You know,
my oldest daughter's coming with her boyfriend. He's a welder. Maybe he might know how to fix it. Yeah, I'll come back on if I can get it.
All right.
We wish you luck.
Gotta take care of the car, man.
Yeah. No, that's key. I mean, you know, my girlfriend's car, you know, the alternator went out, and it's, you know,
sounds like
it's
the
really
alternator
hard
here too.
Yeah, and it's really hard, you know, when you don't have transportation.
Yeah, I mean, only in the United States, the government. I mean, I don't know about Canada, but in the United States, the government's of the people. It's
right. Well,
comprised of the people.
And this is just my take on everything.
You know,
and I
know
workers
are public information.
I know a lot of people don't agree with me, and that's cool. You know, but my specific opinion on this is it doesn't matter what government you're dealing with, as long as as long as you're organizing labor under capitalism, how capitalism organized labor with a small group in control of the means of production, you're always going to have a system where that small group buys the
they use
political
money
system.
to do that. They bribe.
Right. So until you have economic democracy,
that's in every.
You can never have political
you can't
democracy.
Get away from that. That's fueled by greed in all governments. I mean, if there's greed anywhere in the population, it's going to get into any system you create.
But there is a theory that I have, and that specifically is when the workers actually own the means of production, you know, that doesn't happen. You don't see that level of corruption.
Say that again. That's I've heard that phrase before. That's a Teamsters thing, isn't that? Is that like a?
I mean, unions play part in that, but I'm specifically talking about advocating for businesses like Beneficence TV. When we expand, if we expand, we're going to be a worker cooperative, meaning the workers own the means of production. We get together democratically.
It's a lot like farmers. That's a lot like farmers, how they co-op their fields, right? Yeah.
It's a co-op, and it's run democratically, where we each worker gets one share, one vote, basically, and we share responsibilities, and it's more efficient. And honestly, if you have more of a system like that,
ever existed? Where has that ever existed? I mean, in the United States, everybody gets a vote, right? Not that everybody's using it, so we kind of have that same system here, right? Even though nobody's not doing it, you know, not everybody's voting, right? But if you were in a co-op that everybody voted in, you know, and voting was mandatory, then it would work.
They are catching on. They're catching on for sure. And we do have examples of very successful co-ops like the Mondragon Corporation, which is the third largest corporation in Spain. They're a multi-conglomerate. You know, Microsoft and GM both send their teams over to learn from them. They're so good and efficient at what they do. But the whole point is to level the playing field, and when you have a system that's where you have to redistribute wealth because there's such a unfair distribution of it, you have to think, oh, where's that distribution happening? It's happening in wages and in your salary, right? Where you have a small group in control of all those financial decisions who aren't actually contributing to the means of production, right? But the larger group who actually produce do not get what they produce. They're producing.
Right. What you're referring to is specifically the wealthy, not the rich, not the middle class, not the upper class. You're referring to the wealthy. These are the class, I guess you call them a class, that don't utilize money.
Right.
They're wealthy. They own a lot of stuff. And
right.
So
in a system where
they hold title. They hold title to land and stuff. Right? Like
they own capital.
The British Prince Charles or whatever.
But the problem with giant
royalty, these
systems,
monarchies, they still have all the title to all these lands. So
yeah, and that's true. I mean, that's a point that I make. We escaped feudalism, right? Only to establish it here in little tiny kingdoms.
Define what is feudalism to you?
So feudalism is where you have a monarchy, right? You have a king and his court who basically...
So it's his way or the highway, basically.
Right. It's an authoritarian type of
feudalism. Okay. Well, we do
and we transitioned
today, don't we?
Yeah, we transitioned from feudalism from slavery to feudalism from slavery, and then we transitioned to capitalism. We overthrew feudalism.
Go to court. You can argue the statutes all you want, but the judge is going to just, in the end, trump you.
Right. But I mean, capitalism was the next step. Obviously, it took us this far, but like any other system before it, it's going to succumb to its internal contradictions. And these internal contradictions are considered.
The judge in this country is saying not guilty. As soon as you say no contest, you are going the highway, their way.
But my point is, these internal contradictions will always lead to an outcome where the system implodes in on itself. And until we address these internal contradictions, we're always going to have a system where basically we're slaves. And that's what we are when we work for a wage. You know, you have no say in what you do.
The best way to
you know?
end slavery is
you go to work and it's an authoritarian, you know, you go to work and you're told what to do. You have no say, you know?
Well, Ben, if you look at these fifth world, third world countries that run slaves today, the way they do it is by depriving them of education. That's how they keep these human beings dumbed down and under control.
You see that play out in different scales too within our system too. You know, it's a system ensuring the conditions of its own existence is what I like to call it.
They keep you from the education and they keep you under control. So the
and
best
listen,
thing
this
you
is
can do to fight is educate yourself for one.
Exactly, Mike. And you know, it's crazy because a lot of people don't even realize that capitalism.
They don't want you educated, you know. Not the power drivers, the ones that are stuck on controlling everything. Those guys don't want you educated.
This is the most important part. Capitalism obscures its own definition to ensure the conditions of its own existence. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we all think that capitalism is a system of free markets and private property.
Think wealthy play into capitalism. I don't think that.
But listen. Right. That's besides the point. Just listen to what I have to say. The definition of capitalism isn't free markets and private property. When you define something, you have to define what's different about it, right? What's different about capitalism is the way labor is organized with a small group in control of a large group who produce, right? A small group who don't produce in control of a large group who do produce.
Like CEOs and stuff.
Right. And it's also the individual private ownership of tradable shares of stock.
Y'all got way off alien interview topic, by the way.
Yes, we got way off on this.
Well, I think where Ben's heading is that the capitalism is controlled by aliens.
You're like triggering all the chat, getting into political stuff, and you know, like let's get back to the aliens, man.
I think Ben is convinced that our government is taking over.
It's technically.
That's right, but I got to go as the wife finally called and is on her way home, so I've got to get over to her place, but I can leave her streaming if you're going back into the alien stuff. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just explaining to Mike my background, right, and how I perceive everything, and how the forbidden science of political economy is also important and relevant. That's all. Because it keeps us, it holds us back. Our technology has been suppressed.
Like that, right?
Yeah. So it's something that a lot of people miss. It's part of the missing piece of the whole picture, in my opinion. And a lot of people might disagree, and that's cool. You know, I'm cool with that. I'm used to people arguing with me.
When you say the political economy, you're saying this economy that's political is trading in the hidden science or not trading in the hidden science?
It's just the way we do things is suppressing the technology. That's all I'm saying.
So they are trading in the hidden science.
I'm gonna end it on my Crypto Alchemist YouTube channel, but I'm gonna keep it going on my Burn Eye YouTube channels, and I'll leave this camera up and going with you because I gotta go. But so I'll still leave it live on my one channel, but just remove it on the other.
No, you're good. Yeah, we're going to get back into this. I'm going to read some more chapters.
Much love.
Thanks, Bernie.
So they're probably trading the secrets of, you know, these technologies within the political economy, and it's being traded, but it's being kept secret.
Yeah, it could be.
It must be.
I don't know. It's frustrating, but yeah, I don't know. I don't want to upset anybody, so let's get back. Like that's just a tangent that I went off on. I'm sorry. Like that's way off topic.
Did you see that? Yeah, it is off topic, but you're right. Those, you know, what was his name? From SAC, SAC. That guy, he was, he was making a bunch of money for his investors, but he was lying to everybody. It was a Ponzi or whatever. You know,
right.
Well, you got that element.
Oh, don't you be bringing up Bernie Madoff, because that Bernie in jail, all right? Bernie Mac dead,
No, I think it was
Bernie
Steve.
Madoff in jail, Bernie Sanders lost, and I'm the only Bernie left, all right? All right. And on that, good night.
He's YouTube Jesus right there. That's YouTube Jesus.
Well, humans have frailties, and one of them is greed. Okay, and so you can't expect the governments to run themselves free of that frailty.
Can you see this, Mike? Can you read that?
I see the text, but I can't read it. No.
No, you can't read it. Okay, let me try to blow it up a little bit. How about now?
Nope.
All right. Well, I'll just have to pick something.
That's Streamlabs?
Yes.
You should be able to maximize it.
A lesson on immortality. Everyone's got. I did, but I guess it's not enough. It's okay. I don't want it to be too big. Just because I want to fall under fair use as much as possible. But I am reading it myself, so it should be fine.
I don't really think these ETs are like all of them are coming from somewhere else. I think a few of them are at least from here. They're from Earth. They're just living, in places we don't live.
Roswell.
Yeah, that could be like you talking about the inner Earth theory,
or
the hollow Earth theory,
or just somewhere in the middle of the ocean on an island that we'll never go to.
Yeah.
Or on the top of peaks of mountains that are freezing, and they have technology, right?
Right. Well, there are reports of a lot of activity under the water. Oh, I'm getting
Mr. Mission Control, you're gonna have to turn off
the echo.
Hold on. Hold on a sec.
until you fix it. Sorry, but I think you got YouTube still playing or something, or got to fix your mic.
If you got at least a couple of these ETs living on this planet somewhere, at least one of them is more advanced than us, and that means they can live in places we cannot. The Earth is hostile. It's not all great. We just got some good parts of it,
So honeycomb Earth?
I mean, there's that theory. It came out before the flat Earth thing even came out. I mean, I don't know if you know about the ring Earth theory.
No, what's the ring Earth theory?
Well, like we live on one ring, and they're saying there's multiple outer rings and each ring has a.
This isn't like flat Earth. This isn't played the flat Earth.
Well, the flat Earth is not. The flat Earth does not suggest that the Earth is bigger than it is. That they say it is. The ring Earth does. The ring Earth theory suggests that the Earth is many times bigger than they say that it is. And then, when you go along with that theory in your head, it becomes a lot easier to say to yourself, maybe these flying UFOs are not coming from deep space. Maybe they're coming from this planet. It's just really big. And we can't go very far on it because it gets really cold or whatever, really hot. I mean, if it gets even 120 degrees, you're not going to go there, dude. And that's not even that hot. But you're not going to drive your car in that direction, or your plane, or your boat, because it's 100. The temperature's 120 degrees in that direction. So that's the ring Earth thing. The rings are where the temperature shifts are. And the
I don't know. Not a lot of people have been to the poles, so.
Well, the pole is the outer ring of this ring, the ring we're in. Nobody knows if it's the center ring or if it's the outer ring. They don't know how many rings there are, but between each ring there is ice.
Well, the real question is, who is the Lord of the Rings?
That's a good one too.
Really an
Okay, let's get into this chapter. All right.
Yeah.
Boy, personal note: transcript of Air VFBs.
You said what?
I haven't really looked into the ring Earth theory, but I've seen the theory before on the internet. It's not very popular.
Immortal spiritual beings, which I refer to as Isbis for the sake of convenience, are the source and creators of illusions. Each one individually and collectively in their origin, unfettered state of being, are an eternal, all-powerful, all-knowing entity. Isbis create space by imagining a location. The intervening distance between themselves and the imagined location is what we call space. An Isbi can perceive the space and object created by another Isbi. Isbis are not physical universe entities. They are a source of energy and illusion. Isbis are not located in space-time, but can create space-time, or can create space, place particles in space, create energy, and shape particles into various forms, cause the motion of forms, and animate forms. Any form that is animated by Isbi is called life. So this really reminds me of maybe like plasmoids or exotic vacuum objects, maybe. An Isbi can decide to agree that they are located in space or time, and that they themselves are an object or any other manner of illusion created by themselves or another Isbi. The disadvantage of creating an illusion is that an illusion must be continually created. If not continually created, it disappears. Continual creation of an illusion requires in essence attention to every detail of the illusion in order to sustain it. Interesting. A common denominator of an Isbi seems to be the desire to avoid boredom. A spirit can only without interaction with other Isbis and the unpredictable motion, drama, and unanticipated intentions and illusions being created by other Isbis can easily bored. What if you could imagine anything, perceive everything, and cause anything to happen at will? What if you couldn't do anything else? What if you always knew the outcome of every game and the answer to every question? Wouldn't you get bored? The entire back time track of Isbis is immeasurable, nearly infinite in terms of physical universe time. There is no measurable beginning or end for an Isbi. They simply exist in an everlasting now. Like the all permeating consciousness, all-seeing consciousness.
You know, that's so funny. I've either read or heard this text before, and I remember it. Yes, and it's very impactful. You would remember it if you heard it again, put it that way.
Right. No, that's interesting.
It's a great concept. It's got to do with what the consciousness or something.
Yeah, the higher consciousness, the all permeating super fluid that runs throughout the entire universe, that runs the universe.
It makes me remember me thinking that, I believe, this is what I believe. The mind does not see with its eyes that which it does not know. So you could have a dinosaur in front of you about to eat you, but you won't see it because you were told they don't exist already. So they don't exist already. And when you were told that, you believed it, didn't you? You do now. That's my point. Right. So bake your mind on that one. So yes, the mind does not see that what it does not know. So yeah, and I had an experience where I saw something that was not the moon, and I wrote it off as the moon. So that's my point. The mind doesn't see what it doesn't know. So the mind will replace what you are seeing with something that you do know. In this case, the moon,
Right, it likes to fill in those patterns.
And, then the mind will later process the things that don't match And because the eye did see, but it replaced it what it knows, with not what it doesn't know. So if I saw a light in the sky and there during the day, hey, it's the moon, right?
Right.
The first thing you're gonna accept it as the moon, because that's what you know.
Well,
because that's what you know is up there.
The mind likes to play tricks on us for sure. I've never seen anything crazy personally, but there was this one time, and this freaked the heck out of me. Like, I was really, like, my heart was racing when this happened, because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how it happened, but the dog was walking past. We had this real heavy bed, right? It was a bed with drawers, real heavy frame, solid wood. Drawers didn't come out easy. They didn't just roll out, right? That you had to pull on them a little bit. They were heavy drawers. This drawer, while the dog was walking by, just popped out on its own and scared the crap out of the dog and me with it. And I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like, what happened there? But in terms of UFOs or anything like that, I've never experienced anything.
You can't put an explanation to it because you don't know what it is.
Yeah, I couldn't. Dude, I spent the next 2 hours.
Let me ask you though,
like
when
taking
you saw
the
it happen,
out and saying, like, what?
Let me ask you a question here, and I want you to think about the question being asked, not the answer. When you saw the drawer move, what did you think made the drawer move initially? At that,
I have no idea.
In your head, what ran through your head? Oh, the dog kicked it, or what ran through your head?
Oh, immediately I thought the dog caught it with its collar and pulled it. But that's impossible.
You see what I'm saying? You replaced it with what you know. You replaced.
Oh yeah, exactly. Exactly. I replaced it with what I know.
Yeah,
and I know that's impossible.
There you go. I've done that too, and you will realize that, because that's what we're trained to do.
Yeah.
So when you go to school, you look at the globe in there, the ball turning, and you are taught now.
You're absolutely right. Wow. No, you're absolutely right. But that's the whole thing. Like,
now you don't question anymore. You end the question.
Yeah.
So there you go. The ring Earth is a question.
So let's look up this ring Earth theory real quick, because I'm interested.
To me, anyway, it suggests that there is. That doesn't suggest. This is a theory. The ring Earth theory is that the Earth is way bigger than they say it is, basically, and there's rings that go outwards. So if that's the case, some of these craft or aliens or whatever are probably from one of those rings, not so much from outer space. You do gotta admit, some of them do fly awfully low. Some of them might be from further away, but
specific. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on that specific theory. I see I
know, because they don't. I think it's been washed out of the internet, because before the flat Earth stuff came out, the ring Earth thing was there. A few flat Earthers know about it still. I'm not a flat Earther or a glober.
Neither am I.
Maybe a ring Earther though. I don't know.
A ring Earther. So you like this though? You like this?
I definitely think the Earth is bigger than they tell us it is.
That's cool. I like that.
I'm siding with that 100%. And they've been controlling the resources forever. We already know that. So why would they control the resources for such a long time if there isn't plenty of resources? They don't want you to get your hands on it. You could change the market if you do,
Yeah, like that Fucanelli who disappeared, who's supposedly transmutating lead into gold, and he disappeared at the end of World War II.
In Africa, there is a crack in the earth that goes about, 50 miles or something, and it's very dangerous, and it emits steam and all. It's like straight out of sci-fi, crack in the earth. Africans are banned from going in there because it's dangerous. You can die. So they don't let nobody go in there. But Africans still go in there. They trespass and they break the law. And they go in there. Why are they going in there? Because there's gold down there. They come up with gold. And, Yeah, and there's a lot of gold down there in that crack in the earth, but they're not going to let nobody mine it with machines. No, you could safely mine that crack with machines, but they don't. They keep it off limits to the public, though. And that's been that way for a long time. So that's how they control the gold market, with that crack in the earth today. That crack in the earth has got nobody mining it right now, but except regular Joe Schmoes with with sandals on and a little pick hammer.
That earth got plumber's crack.
And look it up. There's a crack in the earth in Africa where, gold is in there, and diamonds, and all kinds of stuff. So there's plenty of stuff. The earth is producing these materials. It's a living organism.
Says the East African Rift is a crack in the Earth's crust in Africa that runs through cratons with significant mineral resources, including gold, and antimony, iron, chromium, and nickel.
Huh. Yeah, that's it. But you're not allowed to mine it. I'm pretty sure.
I'll pull up the picture here so everybody can see.
I mean, maybe there's intelligent species gatekeeping these areas where all the the ones underground.
Well,
they gatekeep the minerals.
Who was that? That was that gentleman who was he was speaking in the 90s or the 80s, and he hurt he got like his fingers cut off or something. He claimed to be an engineer who worked on Phil Schneider. Yeah, it makes you wonder,
That's a controversial one.
Yeah, but it does. It makes you wonder.
He worked underground on those bunkers. He said he ran into some, there you go. They run like I said earlier, the earth is bigger than they say it is, and there's more than our species living here.
Yeah,
humanoid species. What's so hard to accept about that, though? I mean,
he said there's like a base down there, right?
Our ego gets in our way of accepting the basic fundamentals of nature, We are not the only humanoid species, if not on this planet, the entire cosmos. For sure. And get over it, that's all I'm saying. There is more than one fish, type of fish. There's more than one type of bird, There are humanoid species. Probably the most diverse of all the life is of the humanoid species. There's more species of humanoid than any species, in my opinion, than any species. That's just my opinion.
Interesting. Yeah, no, it's very interesting.
We are more able to adapt. We're not so rugged like other species, but we have the right properties and geometries to adapt to more situations than any species with their current physical geometries that they have. Like the thumb, for instance, the monkey has a thumb, right? It has two thumbs, one on its feet, two on its feet also. We lost two of our thumbs. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, the thumb changes everything. That's why the ape is got the thumb, and it's pretty much going to be the dominant creature on the land other than us, because we had the thumb way before the ape did. You know what I mean? So
right.
we're way more advanced.
The opposable thumb.
Right. The ape just got the thumb, in my opinion.
Alien Interview, Chapter 7, A Lesson in Ancient History. Matilda O'Donnell McElroy, personal note. My instruction with Errol continued through the night until dawn of the next morning.
You said what, Mike?
Just thinking about humanoid species. Bigfoot is one of them also, a humanoid species.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, a lot of people tried to discredit the Patterson video, but I think recent evidence kind of concluded that
no
yeah,
more
you see, like,
outrageous is Bigfoot
you
than
see
an
muscles
alien.
moving in, yeah, but you see muscles moving in that video, like, pexes and stuff flexing, like, so it's like, how can you, like, that's a level of detail that we didn't see when it wasn't upscaled. So I don't know.
Yeah, what's the difference between seeing Bigfoot, a big, bulky, muscular humanoid with hair, or a skinny, scrawny, thin, hairless humanoid that looks like a ET? There's no difference. It's just in
But
our
we've been
head.
conditioned to think, oh, automatically it's an extraterrestrial. It could be something from the Earth, like you said. Like,
Right, that's our
it's
first
interesting.
assumption because we've been conditioned to think that first.
Correct. Yeah.
It's the moon, or it's, what did you say? The dog kicked the shelf, or kicked the drawer with his leg, something like that, right? That's your first assumption, because that's what you know. You have to write off events to rationalize them. You're trained to rationalize everything. So
yeah.
And your rational is within a boundary of your mathematical teachings and all that, and our science is not complete by any means. Our math isn't either. I mean, they've proven that already with the math.
Right. It just frustrates me because a lot of people in mainstream academia, they act like it's complete, or they act like there couldn't be this missing component.
The math formulas are not good. They're not good enough, because if they were, they wouldn't need so many variables.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Absolutely, that's a good point. I'm gonna play this video for a second. I'll be right back.
I must say that I was fascinated, skeptical, shocked, alarmed, dismayed, and disgruntled by the lesson I was getting from Errol. I could never have imagined any of what she was telling me, not even in my wildest dreams and nightmares. The next afternoon, after I had slept, showered, and eaten, I was debriefed about my interview session the previous evening by members of the gallery who recorded my account of what Errol told me. There was a stenographer present for the session as usual, to whom I debriefed after each interview, and there were also 6 or 7 men who asked for clarification of my statements. As always, there was constant pressure applied to me to use my influence with Errol to persuade her to answer specific questions prompted by members of the gallery. I did my best to reassure everyone that I would give my very best efforts to do so. Nevertheless, only 3 things happened every day thereafter. Errol resolutely refused to answer any questions that she sensed had been posed by or suggested to me by the gallery. 2. Errol continued to instruct me in the subject matter of her own choice. 3. Every evening after my interview with or instruction from Errol, she would give me a new list of subject matter about which she wanted more information. Each evening, I presented this list to the gallery. The next day, Errol received a large stack of books, magazines, articles, and so forth. She would study all of these during the night while I slept. This pattern repeated every day during the remainder of the time I spent with her. The subject matter of my next interview or lesson from Errol continued with a brief history of Earth, our solar system, and nearby space from the perspective of the domain. Official transcript of interview, top secret. Official transcript of the U.S. Army Air Force Roswell Army Airfield 509th Bomb Group. Subject alien interview, July 25th, 1947, first session. Before you can understand the subject of history, you must first understand the subject of time. Time is simply an arbitrary measurement of the motion of objects through space. Space is not linear. Space is determined by point of view of an ISB when viewing an object. The distance between an ISB and the object being viewed is called space. Objects or energy masses in space do not necessarily move in a linear fashion. In this universe, objects tend to move randomly or in a curving or cyclical pattern, or as determined by agreed upon rules. History is not only a linear record of events, as many authors of Earth history books imply, because it is not a string that can be stretched out and marked like a measuring tool. History is a subjective observation of the movement of objects through space, recorded from the point of view of a survivor rather than those who succumbed. Events.
So this is actually a pretty big chapter, it looks like. I don't think we've even touched on the chapter title yet. Let me catch up on chat and see where we're at.
Time is an oscillation. It's a revolution. It's
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. Yeah, it's interesting you say that because Marco Rodin describes it as an infinity of not direction but duration. So yeah, cyclical. Exactly. Yeah, don't stop. Yeah, so I gotta periodically stop every now and then and commentate on it to fulfill the fair use guidelines. But we will continue with this. Don't worry. Fear not.
Fear not.
Occur interactively and concurrently, just as the biological body has a heart that pumps blood while the lungs provide oxygen to the cells, which reproduce using energy from the sun and chemicals from plants, at the same time as the liver strains toxic waste from the blood and eliminates them through the bladder and the bowels. All of these interactions are concurrent and simultaneous. Although time runs consecutively, events do not happen in an independent linear stream. In order to view and understand the history or reality of the past, one must view all the events as part of an interactive whole. Time can also be sensed as a vibration, which is uniform throughout the entire physical universe. Errol explained that ISBEs have been around since before the beginning of the universe. The reason that they are called immortal is because a spirit is not born and cannot die, but exists in a personally postulated perception of is, will be. She was careful to explain that every spirit is not the same. Each is completely unique in identity, power, awareness, and ability. The difference between an ISBE like Errol and most of the ISBEs inhabiting bodies on Earth is that Errol can enter and depart from her doll at will. She can perceive at selective depths through matter. Errol and other officers of the domain can communicate telepathically. Since an ISBE is not a physical universe entity, it has no location in space or time. An ISBE is literally immaterial. They can span great distances of space instantly. They can experience sensations more intensely than a biological body without the use of physical sensory mechanisms. An ISBE can exclude pain from their perception. Errol can also remember her identity, so to speak, all the way back into the dim mists of time for trillions of years. She says that the existing collection of suns in this immediate vicinity of the universe have been burning for the last 200 trillion years. The age of the physical universe is nearly infinitely old, but probably at least 4 quadrillion years since its earliest beginnings. Time is a difficult factor to measure as it depends on the subjective memory of ISBEs, and there has been no uniform record of events throughout the physical universe since it began. As on Earth, there are many different time measurement systems defined by various cultures, which use cycles of motion and points of origin to establish age and duration. The physical universe itself is formed from the convergence and amalgamation of many other individual universes, each of which were created by an ISBE or group of ISBEs.
That's interesting. So they're pretty much saying in this context and in this supposed interview that the
that ISBEs are not neither here or there. They're like everywhere.
But they're saying, but they're saying that the universe is so old that we don't actually know, the spirits don't actually know how old the universe is, which kind of doesn't make sense if you think about the Akashic record. Like everything's in the Akashic record. We would know, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
It sounds like these ISBEs are not living within one revolution of time, and they are living. They're not. They revolve. They can transfer themselves between time revolutions. So possibly there's more than one revolution of time, and we're in one of them.
Tyler says, time is the big unknown. Is time the difference between a cognitive state or not? If you die, is that just the no longer ability to perceive time, thus causing quantum state entropy? That's a very good question, Tyler. We don't know, but I think that just goes on what your faith is, and in these cases, you know, sometimes we don't have proof, and we might never know. You just have to rely on your faith and what you believe.
Time is the container of all frequencies, like all frequencies, and there are bandwidths that we are not aware of. because we don't know them. And back into what your mind knows and doesn't know. So, like the quantum, what's it called? The quantum entanglement with the tense rope theory. You know, the tense string, tug on both ends, you get quantum transmutation of vibration from one end to the other, instantaneous. There is no
no delay, no lag. Yeah, it doesn't matter how long the distance is.
Right. That that suggests that a frequency that we're not that's not in our bandwidth of measurements.
Yeah, you imagine like that graph, you know, they display for visualizing space-time, the sheet, you know, and you put the mass on it and it kind of sinks in. You know, imagine like pulling one part of that all the way to the other, you know. And then those two are connected, and whatever you do to one, you're pulling on one. It doesn't matter how far apart they are in the universe, it's just going to react instantaneously.
Yeah. Well, what Zara was saying about that craft and the anti-gravity machine is he needed a lot of electric to get it going and to make the magnetic field strong enough because, you know, what he's getting at, the gravity A and B fields. Gravity A, I believe, was the one that's everywhere, you know. It's non-local, and it's the weak gravity. And gravity B, I could be wrong about this. It's either or. And gravity B is the local gravity. It's local to your cells and whatever, and it's the stronger gravity. It could be the vice versa or something like that's going on. And between those two gravities, so the one that you need to manipulate is the weak one. It's the one that's everywhere. So when you create a magnetic field strong enough, the reason why you need to manipulate the one that's everywhere is because you're trying to go from point A to point B, and everywhere encompasses that. If you were to manipulate the gravity field that's local, you're not going to go very far. You have to manipulate the other gravity field. I don't know which one it is, B or A, but the one that's everywhere, the non-local gravity field, that is the weaker gravity field, the weak force. And since it's a weak force, the theory is pretty strong that you can manipulate it. So by creating a magnetic field strong enough, if you have enough electricity, and you can create a magnetic field strong enough, you can bend that gravity field that's everywhere, and with it, space and time. And you're not moving yourself, you're moving space and time. And you're standing still, but space is moving and everything else is moving around you. And then when you get to where you want to be, you disengage the gravity field, and you end up in that location. It's kind of weird, but it makes sense to me when it comes to magnetic field strength. If you have such a strong field, I don't doubt it.
It does make sense. Like everything,
I don't doubt that you can bend space and time.
Yeah,
and the gravity field within it.
Everything is related, you know. Gravity is nothing more than a different modality of.
I don't think that's destructive either.
You know,
I don't think that would be destructive to space and time itself, because it's such a weak field. What are you going to destroy?
But yeah, the gravity is just another modality of magnetism. So yeah, it's all related. You know, the universe, like Ken Wheeler says, the universe isn't complicated. It's very lazy. It does things simple. You know,
you're not competing against a lot of energy, so there's nothing getting destroyed here. But you need a lot of energy to create the magnetic field to bend yourself far enough in space to get such a long distance. And you have to wonder how these craft never get hit by rocks and stuff and get totally destroyed.
They must have some kind of force field that's produced.
Well, that's how they're not moving. They're not moving.
Oh, they're phasing. Yeah, they're phasing through it.
The rocks moving around them, including space and everything else.
Oh, they're warping it. I see. They're warping space time around. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they're not. They're not actually moving. Space is.
Right.
They're bending the gravity field.
They're bending it around the craft. Yeah.
They're bending the weak gravity field that's everywhere. It's called the non-local gravity field. It's supposed to be all over the place. It's if you can bend that with a strong enough magnetic field, in theory, you're moving to space with it. But then when you turn off the field, it returns to its original position. It's very elastic. It's weird, yeah. But that's what they say. It's like the space is a elastic material. It doesn't. It's not something you can destroy per se.
Right, but you can warp it or bend it.
It's like plastic wrap.
Yeah, or a stretchy rubber band.
It's an energy field that has its momentum established, but you can temporarily manipulate that momentum. But temporarily, of course, your energy is not going to be strong enough to last very long, but it's long enough to relocate you. And put you in another position in that energy field, the overall energy field that we are bending in the first place.
I got an itching to continue this video, so I'm going to continue it, and we'll take a quick
if it's
look
the
at
ether,
what they got
it
here.
has to include the actual space itself.
Universes commingled and coalesced and were solidified to form a mutually created universe. Because it is agreed that energy and forms can be created but not destroyed, this creative process has continued to form an ever-expanding universe of nearly infinite physical proportions. Before the formation of the physical universe, there was a vast period during which universes were not solid but wholly illusionary. You might say that the universe was a universe of magic illusions, which were made to appear and vanish at the will of the magician. In every case, the magician was one or more Isbis. Many Isbis on Earth can still recall vague images from that period. Tales of magic, sorcery, and enchantment, fairy tales and mythology speak of such things, although in very crude terms. Each Isbi entered into the physical universe when they lost their own home universe. That is, when an Isbi's home universe was overwhelmed by the physical universe, or when the Isbi joined with other Isbis to create or conquer the physical universe. On Earth, the ability to determine when an Isbi entered the physical universe is difficult for two reasons. One, the memory of Isbis on Earth have been erased, and two, Isbi's arrival or invasion into the physical universe took place at different times, some 60 trillion years ago, and others only 3 trillion. Every once in a short while, a few million years, an area or planet will be taken over by another group of Isbis entering into the area. Sometimes they will capture other Isbis as slaves. They will be forced to inhibit bodies to perform menial or manual work, especially mining mineral ores on heavy gravity planets such as Earth. Errol says that she has been a member of the Domain Expeditionary Force for more than 625 million years, when she became a pilot for a biological survey mission, which included occasional visits to Earth. She can remember her entire career there and for a very long time before that. She told me that Earth scientists do not have an accurate measuring system to gauge the age of matter. They assume that because certain types of materials seem to deteriorate rather quickly, such as organic or carbon-based matter, that there is a deterioration of matter. It is not accurate to measure the age of stone based on the measurement of the age of wood or bone. This is a fundamental error. Factually, matter does not deteriorate. It cannot be destroyed. Matter can only be altered in form, but it is never truly destroyed. The Domain has conducted a periodic survey of the galaxies in this sector of the universe since it developed space travel technologies about 80 trillion years ago. A review of changes in the complexion of Earth revealed that mountain ranges rise and fall, continents change location, the poles of the planet shift, ice caps come and go, oceans appear and disappear, rivers, valleys, and canyons change. In all cases, the matter is the same. It is always the same sand. Every form and substance is made of the same basic materials which never deteriorates. Matilda O'Donnell McElroy, personal note. I cannot even begin to imagine how advanced a civilization may have become technically and mentally after trillions of years. Just think of how advanced our own country has become compared to only 150 years ago. Only a few generations ago, transportation was on foot, horseback, or boat. Reading was done by candlelight, heating and cooking were done over a fireplace, and there wasn't any indoor plumbing. Official transcript of interview. Errol described the abilities of an Isbi officer of the Domain to me, and she demonstrated one to me when she contacted telepathically a communications officer of the Domain who was stationed in the asteroid belt. The asteroid belt is composed of thousands of broken up pieces of a planet that once existed between Mars and Jupiter. It serves as a good low-gravity jumping-off point for incoming spacecraft traveling toward the center of our galaxy. She requested that this officer consult information stored in the files of the Domain concerning the history of Earth. She asked
That's interesting. That's another common theory we see on the internet, that the asteroid belt was a planet there.
No, I heard is that John Lear, the pilot guy, he said that the asteroid belt was formed by a planet that was destroyed by an enemy species, humanoid species. It was called.
John Lear's an interesting guy.
The planet was called Man, and the planet Man had the most amazing cities and structures you can imagine. And that's why they destroyed it, because they were envious of the planet and all of its structures and the evil species, alien, whatever it was, I don't know. They destroyed Planet Man, and it formed the asteroid belt.
Join me in the
It was a big planet. I think it was. It was like It was like the biggest planet. I think. I don't know. That's just a theory from that pilot guy, John Lear. I don't know if it's a theory or it's his story that he heard somewhere.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. He's an interesting guy.
You know, you ever wonder why, if Earth is round, why aren't the galaxies also round? Why are they shaped like a pizza?
Yeah, it's a spiral. Yeah.
And Earth is spinning too. You know, so is the galaxy. So you would think one day Earth is going to flatten out too because it's spinning. Oh
no, we're not getting into the flat Earth theory now.
No, you know what I'm saying though. That's physics. It's spinning. Yeah, eventually, it's going to flatten out because of the spin. It's like you drop something on a paint on a spinning disc. What happens? You know.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know. Honestly, I couldn't say. I don't know enough about astrophysics.
That's the centrifugal force. You know, you can't get around centrifugal force. You know. So centrifugal forces is probably what's creating the waves and creating the mountain movements and all that outwards. Maybe that's what's creating the growth of the planet. The outward growth.
I think a lot of it has to do with that vortex motion for sure. You know,
it's definitely spinning, even if it's flat or round. If it's not spinning fast, it's spinning in one or the direction or the other, or it could be going in both directions. You know, it could be going backward, forth. You know, like a clock or like a pendulum arm. There's no telling. I mean, that pendulum back and forth could take, you know, it could take just a few thousand years and we wouldn't know it. We wouldn't be able to notice it or even barely even record it. It would get lost in our archives so easily. If it happened,
that's interesting.
If that pendulum swing happened every couple hundred years, it would most likely be affirmative by now in our archives.
Lost in time.
Yeah, the Earth spins clockwise for 300 years and then it reverses 300 years. You know, we would know that for sure if that was the rate at which it changed. But what if the rate at which it changes its motion is, you know, 10,000 years or 1,000,000 years? Forget about it. You're never going to know the cycle, the true cycle, not by waiting for a change that takes that long to go the other direction. And there's plenty of cycles like that out there. You know, there's planets that probably orbit, you know, one time every 1,000,000 years, and then they turn the other way for another 1,000,000 years. Hard to fathom, but when you think about the overall mass and the amount of planets that are out there, that has to be one of the cases.
The communications officer to feed this information to Errol. The communications officer immediately complied with the request. Based on the information stored in the files of the domain, Errol was able to give me a brief overview of our history lesson. This is what Errol told me that the domain had observed about the history of Earth. She told me that the domain expeditionary force first entered into the Milky Way galaxy very recently, only about 10,000 years ago. The first action was to conquer the home planets of the Old Empire. This is not the official name, but a nickname given to the conquered civilization by the domain forces that served as the seat of central government for this galaxy and other adjoining regions of space. These planets are located in the stars systems in the tail of the Big Dipper constellation. She did not mention which stars exactly. About 1,500 years later, the domain began the installation bases for their own forces along the path of invasion, which leads towards the center of the galaxy and beyond. About 8,200 years ago, the Domain forces set up a base on Earth in the Himalaya Mountains near the border of modern Pakistan and Afghanistan. This was a base for the battalion of the Domain Expeditionary Force, which included about 3,000 members. They set up a base under or inside the top of the mountain. The mountaintop was drilled into and made hollow to create an area large enough to house the ships and personnel of that force. An electronic illusion of the mountaintop was created to hide the base by projecting a false image from inside the mountain against a force screen. The ships could then enter and exit through the force screen, yet remain unseen by Homo sapiens. Shortly after they settled there, the base was surprised by an attack from a remnant of the military forces of the old empire. Unbeknownst to the Domain, a hidden underground base on Mars, operated by the old empire, had existed for a very long time. The Domain base was wiped out by a military attack from the Mars base, and the ISBs of the Domain Expeditionary Force were captured. You can imagine that the Domain was very upset about losing such a large force of officers and crew, so they sent other crews to Earth to look for them. Those crews were also attacked. The captured ISBs from the Domain forces were handled in the same fashion as all other ISBs who have been sent to Earth. They were each given amnesia, had their memories replaced with false pictures and hypnotic commands, and sent to Earth to inhabit biological bodies.
See, that really screams origins of Scientology right there, and it's kind of like disturbing to me, and it's distracting me, to be honest.
You see when he said about the hole in the top of the mountain to... they carved out the hole and projected a light in there to create an image to, I guess disguise their location or something, or distract someone from finding them or something.
Yeah, something like that.
So that's how you make a hologram. You create a hole and you project light into the hole, and it bounces up into the sky and creates a hologram. Whatever's at the bottom of the hole. If the bottom of the hole is reflective and it's concave shaped, it reflects whatever's in the center, and it's a hologram. It requires no power, just light.
Responsible, and that human beings are not responsible. You are taught that only God can create universes, so the responsibility for every action is assigned to another ISBE or God, never oneself. No human being ever assumes personal responsibility for the fact that they themselves, individually and collectively, are gods. This fact alone is the source of entrapment for every ISBE. Roy, personal implication of the U.S. As an officer, pilot, and engineer of the Domain, it is my duty to protect the greater good of the Domain and its possessions. However, we cannot defend ourselves against forces of which we are not aware. The isolation of Earth from the rest of civilization prevents me from discussing many subjects with you at this time. Security and protocol prevent me from revealing any but the broadest general statements about the plans and activities of the Domain. However, I can give you some information that you might find useful. I must return to my assigned duties on the space station now. I have provided as much help as I feel ethically able to offer, given the requirements and constraints of my duties as an officer, pilot, and engineer of the Domain forces. Therefore, I will depart as an ISBE from Earth within the next 24 hours. Editor's note: the following several paragraphs appear to be personal comments made by Matilda to the stenographer regarding her interview with Errol. What this means is that Errol will leave her doll with us, as her craft is damaged beyond repair. We can examine, dissect, and study the body at our leisure.
So I guess doll in this context refers to the body, the flesh, and they are, again, spiritual beings, supposedly, in this interview. Not quite sold on it yet, but we're going to continue it. It's very fascinating.
She does not have any further use for it, nor does she have any personal feelings or attachments to it, as others are readily available for her to use. Errol does not recommend that there are any technology in the body that Earth scientists will find useful, however. The technology of the body is simple, yet vastly beyond the reckoning of our current ability to analyze or reverse engineer any facet of it. The body is neither biological or mechanical, but a unique fabrication of materials and ancient technologies not found on any Earth-type planet. As Errol mentioned previously, a very rigid and distinctive hierarchy of social, economic, and cultural classes exists throughout the Domain, which has remained unvaried and inviolate for many millennia. The body type and function assigned to an ISB officer varies specifically according to the rank, class, longevity, training level, command level, service record, and meritorious citations earned by each individual ISB, as with any other military insignia. The body used by Earl is specifically designed for an officer, pilot, and engineer of her rank and class. The bodies of her companions, which were destroyed in the crash, were not the same rank or class, but of a junior rank. Therefore, the appearance, features, composition, and functionality of those bodies were specialized and limited to the requirements of their duties. The junior officers whose bodies were damaged in the crash have left their bodies and returned to their duties in the space station. The damage suffered by their bodies was due primarily to the fact that they were officers of lower rank. They used bodies which were partially biological and therefore far less durable and resilient than hers. Editor's note, at this point the transcript appears to resume with statements made by Errol. Although the domain will not hesitate to destroy any active vestiges of the old Empire operations wherever they are discovered, this is not our primary mission in this galaxy. I'm sure that the old Empire mind control mechanisms can be deactivated and destroyed eventually. However, it is not possible to estimate how long this may take, as we do not understand the extent of this operation at this time. We do know that the old Empire force screen is vast enough to cover this end of the galaxy at least. We also know from experience that each force generator and trapping device is very difficult to detect, locate, and destroy. Also, it is not the current mission of the Domain Expeditionary Force to commit resources to this endeavor.
Go.
The eventual destruction of these devices...
Go.
Do you have something to say, Mike?
No, I dropped something on the floor that I don't want the dog to eat.
Oh, I understand.
may make it possible for your memory to be restored simply by virtue of not having it erased after each lifetime. Fortunately, the memory of an ISB cannot be permanently erased. There are many other active space civilizations who maintain various nefarious operations in this area, not the least of which is dumping unwanted ISBs on Earth. None of these craft are hostile or in violent opposition to the domain forces. They know better than to challenge us. For the most part, the domain ignores Earth and its inhabitants, except to ensure that the resources of the planet itself are not permanently spoiled. This sector of the galaxy was annexed by the domain and is the possession of the domain to do with or dispose of it as deems best. The moon of Earth and the asteroid belt have become a permanent base of operations for the domain forces. Needless to say, any attempt by humans or others to interfere in the activities of the domain in the solar system, even if it were possible, which it definitely is not, will be terminated swiftly. This is not a serious concern, as I mentioned earlier, since Homo sapiens cannot operate in open space. Of course, we will continue with the next steps of the domain expansion plan, which has remained on schedule for billions of years. Over the next 5,000 years, there will be increasing traffic and activity of the domain forces as we progress toward the center of this galaxy and beyond to spread our civilization through the universe. If humanity is to survive, it must cooperate to find effective solutions to the difficult conditions of your existence on Earth. Humanity must rise above its human form and discover where they are and that they are ISBs and who they really are as ISBs in order to transcend the notion that they are merely biological bodies. Once these realizations have been made, it may be possible to escape your current imprisonment. Otherwise, there will be no future for the ISBs on Earth. Although there are no active battles or wars being waged between the domain and the old empire, there still exists the covert actions of the old empire taken against Earth through their thought control operation. When one knows that these activities exist, the effects can be observed clearly. The most obvious examples of these actions against the human race can be seen as incidents of sudden, inexplicable behavior. A very recent instance of this occurred in the United States military just before the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Just 3 days before the attack, someone in authority ordered all the ships in Pearl Harbor to go into port and secure for inspection. The ships were ordered to take all the ammunition out of their magazines and store it below. On the afternoon before the attack, all of the admirals and generals were attending parties, even though 2 Japanese aircraft carriers were discovered standing right off Pearl Harbor. The obvious action to take would have been to contact Pearl Harbor by telephone to warn them of the danger of a fight starting and to put the ammunition back and order the ships to get out of port into the open sea. About 6 hours before the Japanese attack began, a U.S. Navy ship sank a small Japanese submarine right outside the harbor. Instead of contacting Pearl Harbor by telephone to report the incident, a warning message was put into top secret code, which took about 2 hours to encode. Then it took another 2 hours to decode. The word of warning to Pearl Harbor did not arrive until 10 a.m. Pearl Harbor time, Sunday, 2 hours after the Japanese attack destroyed the U.S. fleet. How do things like this happen? If the men who were responsible for these obviously disastrous errors were stood up and asked bluntly to justify their actions and intentions, we'd find out that they were quite sincere in their jobs. Ordinarily, they do the very best they can do for people and nations. however, all of a sudden, from some completely unknown and undetectable source, enters these wild, unexplainable situations that just can't exist. The Old Empire thought control operation is run by a small group of old baboons with very small minds. They are playing insidious games with no purpose and no goal other than to control and destroy ISBs who could otherwise manage themselves perfectly well if left alone. These types of artificially created incidents are being forced upon the human race by the operations of the mind-controlled prison system. The prison guards will always promote and support oppressive and totalitarian activities of ISBs on Earth. Why not keep the inmates fighting between themselves? Why not empower madmen to run the governments of Earth? The men who run the criminal governments of Earth mirror the commands given them by covert thought controllers of the Old Empire. The human race will continue to shadowbox with this for a long time, as long as it remains the human race.
This actually reminds me a lot. Mike, have you ever seen the movie They Live?
Oh yeah, 5 or 10 times.
Yeah, such a great movie. But that reminds me of that movie.
Oh, when it was on cable back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Where there's this unrelenting secret hidden force that's guiding
I saw a video yesterday.
Constricting humanity.
Ben, I saw a video yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
On this That Is Impossible channel. His name is James. He's got like a lot of subscribers. But anyway, he has a video on there that somebody gave him. I think it was in Ukraine. There's a UFO over the building, right? But he's filming through a piece of glass that enables him to see the UFO there.
Mm-hmm.
You move the glass and it's gone. You can't see it. It's on video too. He does it with the phone. So the infrared, you can't see infrared.
There was a video, and I wish I could find it. I'll try to find it. And I just it was sent to me by a friend. Right, he filmed a UFO outside his window. I forget, somewhere in Michigan, and I zoomed in on the video and I slowed it down, on YouTube. And I slowed it down to the slowest, and you could see it's like a gyroscopic motion. It's really interesting. There's like a ring inside of a ring.
Oh, I saw that one. Right. What, your friend got that on camera?
Well, it might be another one.
There's one going on the internet like that too. Just like you described, yes. And it's on the same channel I just told you about.
I only saw it though when I slowed it down to the slowest setting on YouTube, and I had to kind of zoom in a little bit, but yeah, you could see it. It's crazy. That's interesting that somebody else caught one, or if it's not the same video, if somebody else caught one,
Until then, the ISBs on Earth will continue to live a series of consecutive lives over and over and over. The same ISB who lived during the rise and fall of civilizations in India, China, Mesopotamia, Greece, and Rome are inhabiting bodies in the present time in America, France, Russia, Africa, and around the world. In between each lifetime, an ISB is sent back again to begin all over, as though the new life was the only life they had ever lived.
Yes, like in the Bible, a wheel within a wheel.
They begin anew in pain, in misery, and mystery. Some ISBs have been transported to Earth more recently than others. Some ISBs have been on Earth only a few hundred years, so they have no personal experience with the earlier civilizations of Earth. They have no experiences of having lived on Earth, so could not remember a previous existence here, even if their memory was restored. They might, however, remember lives they lived elsewhere, on other planets, and in other times. Others have been here since the first days of Lemuria. In any case, the ISBs of Earth are here forever until they can break the amnesia cycle, conquer the electronic traps set up by their captors, and free themselves.
So reincarnation is an interesting topic because, we have stories of, children recalling what they claim to be past lives in extreme detail and having access to information that they couldn't otherwise have access to. It's incredible. So it really makes you wonder.
Bring up that video in the private chat. Go to 10 minutes.
Oh.
It's in the 10-minute mark. It's
okay.
Incredible.
Gotcha.
I've seen a lot of UFO footage. This one here is the clearest footage I've ever seen. It's up close too. Daytime.
I got the dog here. 1 second. 10 minutes?
You want to subscribe to his channel. He gets all kinds of awesome footage.
People are saying that
Mute it, because you don't want to get, yeah, just mute it.
I think I gotta take the dog out in a second.
Yeah, Chihuahua.
There it is. He is a Jack Russell and Chihuahua.
Oh, Jack Russell. Crazy.
Chihuahua mix. Yeah.
That explains your attitude, Ben.
It's not my dog. It's my mom's dog. We're watching it.
Jack Russells are amazingly fast.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I do like Jack Russells. I would probably get one if I could. They're very smart, but they require a lot of energy, or a lot of exercise. They have a lot of energy. This dog's pretty chill. Uno's pretty chill.
They're acrobats.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's insane.
See the glass? He put the glass up. You can only see it when he has the glass up. A piece of glass. What kind of glass is that? Just a piece of glass. You're kidding me. He's looking at it through the glass. When he moves the glass away, it's gone.
That's kind of sus. What is that? Maybe a video effect? Maybe a video effect? A VFX?
No, but he keeps going. I mean, he's doing a lot of editing here. I'll tell you that much.
Huh. I'm gonna pause this real quick because I got to take the dog out.
All right.
Are you able to present? If you have anything to present, you could present something.
I'm rendering. My CPU's 100%.
Let's put the audio thing back up, and I'm going to take the dog out real quick.
Because the domain has 3,000 of their own ISBs in captivity on Earth also, they have an interest in solving this problem. This problem has never been encountered or effectively solved before in the universe as far as they know. They will continue their efforts to free those ISBs from Earth where and when it is possible, but it will require time to develop an unprecedented technology and the diligence to do so. Editor's note, the following statement is a comment by Matilda. I think that it is Errol's sincere desire as one ISB to another that the rest of our eternity will be as pleasant as possible. Roswell, Alien Interview, Chapter 14. Errol reviews the interview transcripts. Matilda O'Donnell McElroy, personal note. Shortly after I finished recounting the previous interview with Errol to the stenographer, I was summoned urgently to the office of the commanding officer of the base. I was escorted by 4 heavily armed military policemen. When I arrived, I was asked to be seated in a very large makeshift office that had been arranged with a conference table and chairs. In the office were several dignitaries I had seen at various times in the gallery. I recognized a few of them because they were famous men. I was introduced to these men, which included Army Air Force Secretary Symington, General Nathan Twining, General Jimmy Doolittle, General Vandenberg, and General Northstott. To my surprise, Charles Lindbergh was also in the office. Secretary Symington explained to me that Mr. Lindbergh was there as a consultant to the Chief of Staff of the U.S. Air Force. There were several other men present in the room who were not introduced. I assume these men were personal aides to the officers or agents of some intelligence service. All of this sudden attention, not only from the secretary and generals, but from world-famous people as Mr. Lindbergh and Mr. Doolittle, made me realize how critically important my role as an interpreter for Errol was, as seen through the eyes of others. Until this time, I was not really aware of this except in a peripheral sense. I suppose this was because I was so absorbed in details of the extraordinary situation. Suddenly, I began to grasp the magnitude of my role. I think that the presence of these men in that meeting was intended in part to impress me with this fact. The secretary instructed me not to be nervous. He said that I was not in any trouble. He asked me if I thought the alien would be willing to answer a list of questions they had prepared. He explained that they were very eager to discover many more details about Errol, the flying disc, the domain, and many other subjects that Errol had disclosed in the interview transcripts. Of course, they were mainly interested in questions relating to the military security and the construction of the flying disc. I told them that I was very sure that Errol had not changed her mind about answering questions, as nothing had changed that would cause her to trust the intentions of the men in the gallery. I repeated that Errol had communicated everything that she was willing and at liberty to discuss already. In spite of this, they insisted that I would ask Errol again if she would answer questions, and the answer was still no. I was to ask her if she would be willing to read the written copies of the transcripts of my interview translations. They wanted to know if Errol would verify that my understanding and translation of our interviews was correct. Since Errol could not read English very fluently, the secretary asked if they could be allowed to observe for themselves while Errol read the transcripts and verify that they were correct in writing. They wanted her to write a copy of the transcripts, whether the translation were correct or not, and make a note of anything that was not accurate in the transcripts. Of course, I had no choice but to obey orders, and I did exactly what the secretary requested. I was given a copy of the transcripts with a signature page, which I was to show to Errol. After Errol completed her review, I was also directed to request that Errol sign the cover page, attesting that all the translations in the transcripts were correct as amended by her. About an hour later, I entered the interview room as instructed with copies of the transcripts and signature page to deliver to Errol as the members of the gallery, including the generals, and Mr. Lindbergh also, I presume, and others watched through the glass of the gallery room. I went to my usual seat, sitting 4 or 5 feet across from Errol. I presented the envelope of transcripts to Errol and passed on the instructions I had received from the secretary telepathically. Errol looked at me and looked at the envelope without accepting it. Errol said, "If you have read them and they are accurate in your own estimation, there is no need for me to review them also. The translations are correct. You can tell your commander that you have faithfully conveyed a record of our communication." I assured Errol that I had read them and they were exact recordings of everything I told the transcription typist. "Will you sign the page then?" I asked. "No, I will not," said Errol. "May I ask you why not?" I said. I was a little confused as to why she wasn't willing to do such a simple thing. If your commander does not trust his own staff to make an honest and accurate report to him, what confidence will my signature on the page give him? Why will he trust an ink mark on a page made by an officer of the domain if he does not trust his own loyal staff? I didn't quite know what to say to that. I couldn't argue with Errol's logic, and I couldn't force her to sign the document either. I sat in my chair for a minute, wondering what to do next. I thanked Errol and told her I needed to go ask my superiors for further instructions. I placed the envelope of the transcripts in the inside breast pocket of my uniform jacket, and I began to rise from my chair. At that moment, the door from the gallery room slammed open. 5 heavily armed military police rushed into the room. A man in a white laboratory coat followed closely behind them. He pushed a small cart that carried a box-shaped machine with a lot of dials on the face of it. Before I could act, 2 of the MPs grabbed Errol and held her firmly down on the oversized chair she had been sitting on since the first day of our interviews together. The other 2 MPs grabbed my shoulders and pushed me back down on my chair and held me there. The other MP stood directly in front of Errol, pointing a rifle directly at her, no more than 6 inches from her head. The man in the lab coat quickly wheeled the cart behind Errol's chair. He deftly placed a circular headband over Errol's head and turned back to the machine on the cart.
All right, I'm back. I'm going to switch back to this. And I don't know. I'm thinking about ending the stream in a few minutes. I don't know about this video.
You see that hologram?
You said what?
Did you see that hologram?
Where?
In the private chat? The last link?
Let me see.
Oh, wait, no.
Or is that the first one? Oh, yeah. This. Hold on. Let me bring it up.
The one before the UFO. The one.
Yeah, let me bring it up. I think this might be the last.
It's a toy, so you can get it on Amazon.
Oh yeah. I was actually thinking about getting one.
I have 2 of them.
Anyway, on to the next item.
They really do work. It looks real.
And boy, you just barely.
It's amazing how a reflective disc, they call it a mirroscope.
That's so crazy. I love it. It's so cool.
It's using mirror technology to create a hologram. There's no
Yeah,
power here.
it's such a cool optical illusion, and you have to wonder. There's got to be some way to apply this technology, for practical applications. You know what I mean?
You think the moon looks like that?
I don't know.
Moon, sure. I mean, that looks like a real whatever that is down there.
Let me tell you, Mike, if the moon was a hologram, we would have no effing idea. If the moon is hollow, we have no effing idea. All we know is what NASA tells us until we go there ourselves, Well,
wait, hold on. Here's an idea. Admiral Byrd. You know who that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy who went to the North Pole, said he found a hole in the Earth.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What does this miroscope have? A hole. You see the hole at the top there?
Yeah, you were talking about that. That is an interesting theory you were talking about.
And what do you need for it to work? You need a light source above the hole, reflecting down into the hole. And what does the sun do over that hole? If Admiral Byrd found a hole, the sun is over that hole.
But that's a flawless hologram.
No,
you know what I mean? Like you would
crap.
be able, if you even if you saw that in real life, if you didn't know it was a device under there, it was just built into a table, and you saw it from the specific angle that needs, like you would not know.
I wanted you to see this because I don't know. How old are you again?
That's a little too big for it. That's a bad one because that kind of cuts it off and destroys the illusion.
Well, doesn't the moon do that sometimes? It has like a
this
part
is
of it's cut off.
At this.
You ever
but look at this. Look at the definition. And the color, it's all there. All the detail is there because it's reflecting all the light.
Right.
It's insane. No, that's insane, I love these toys. They're amazing.
You ever heard of a Fresnel lens?
I'm back.
Yes. So I actually used a Fresnel lens when I was younger to build a projector.
Nope. The battery is dead.
The battery. Well, that's not so bad.
They're gonna try to. Yeah.
That's the least problem you could have. The alternator is more expensive than the battery.
I'm hoping it's the battery. But
well,
if it's not
I
the
can
battery,
tell you if you get another battery, you can check the alternator by starting the car again and take one terminal off the battery. If it keeps running, the alternator's good.
Did you like talking as if I know what to do with this stuff? Like, I have no idea. The best that I could do is probably take it to somebody like a mechanic. But then,
Yeah.
I know how to jump start it,
like
but I don't. I know how to change a tire, but more than that, no. I kind of stopped there.
Yeah, I don't know much about car mechanics myself.
No. Well, the car is 9 years old too. It's not a new car. It's an old Honda Odyssey, but I'm the only owner of it. Are we streaming this anywhere live, or is this just here?
I'm on Rumble. Bernie's on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook.
Great! Like the whole world knows that my car is broken.
Hey, we've all been there. My first day to work at my.
Look!
Oh!
You missed it! You missed it! A shooting star! Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, I don't think the camera picked it up.
It's okay.
Yeah, my first day to work, I blew a tire. So it happens.
Yeah, I've got 5 kids in the house, no car. Yeah, all peachy. I think
you got to Uber it to the auto store, buy a new battery.
No, I've got some. They might be bringing me a car tonight, a 4Runner, like a replacement.
Well, that's good.
I'm not without a car. That's the perks when you have a friend that has a car dealership. You can call any minute and say, "Hey, I need a car." ASAP.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
So we were just watching this video on this cool hologram toy.
All right, now I can concentrate back with you guys. All right, let's watch the video. Go play it, Ben.
3 things in the world that are must-have is a car, and a car.
Huh?
Oh, let me go back to
I
the
said there's
chat.
3 things in the world that one must have is a car, and a car.
Yeah, I
can't
had
go
2
without
whiskey
wheels.
shots just to cope with what's happening.
You know,
I've got a
I
bike.
remember when I was a
It's
kid, I
not
used to
working.
take the bus everywhere.
Only rode on the bus once in my life, but for fun because I didn't know what it was to ride. Like I didn't feel like what it, the bus was like. So I rode it just, to see what it was.
Well, if you live in the city, the buses could take you everywhere you need to go and anywhere.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna ride the bus. I'm gonna. Yeah.
The
No,
metropolitan
in my area,
areas.
there's no bus. Yeah, in my area, there's no buses.
Oh,
I live
you're
in.
rural. Yeah, so you definitely need a car.
I definitely need a car.
I like to have a
when
backup
bad things
scooter,
happen in life, moral of the story is how you react to them. That's the value in the lesson. Not, so I'm smiling. Yeah, I mean, it's still Saturday night. I still have, it's all good. I'm still grateful. Even if I don't have a car, I'm still grateful.
It's just a battery, Lulu. You're going to get your car going.
I don't think I should be calling a psychiatrist for that. I'm kidding.
No. In America, it's one of the biggest, availabilities is a car. And we're fundamental on the wheels.
Yeah.
In Bulgaria, I was driving a Volkswagen. I had a flat, and you know how they fixed my flat? They don't have new tires. they take pieces of old tires, cut squares out of them, and sew them into your tire, and then melt it.
See, the only thing I'm finding with
Bulgaria 2 weeks ago.
It's like Afghanistan.
My parents went to Bulgaria 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
They thought the nature was beautiful, but what they didn't like was the food.
Too meaty.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
spicy.
People are nice, everything, but everything is like really, really fatty. Like all the food is so fatty.
Yeah, they eat a lot of meat.
Yeah. And my parents don't. Yeah, they don't eat like pork products, and so for them it was really difficult because in Bulgaria they use a lot. Exactly, they use a lot of pork products in their food.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a hard time, for the food wise, but everything else was good. They enjoyed, they spent 2 weeks there.
Did they have baklava?
Baklava is not a Bulgarian food, dude. But
no, but
it's
all over the place in Bulgaria. You can find it anywhere.
Yeah, you guys stole it from the Middle East.
So Refried said, one night after having some drinks with Joe Allen, I asked him about aliens.
It's Middle
His
Eastern,
response was almost verbatim what Von Braun allegedly said about being a hoax.
Nothing is better than baklava.
Oh, I love baklava.
You know what? I'm going to show you. No, I'm going to show you what's better than baklava. There's something called mabrume, and that's way better than baklava. 10 times better than baklava.
Heaven's Gate website's still up, isn't it?
Here, I'll show you what it's better than baklava. Okay.
this thing. This thing's better than baklava. Okay, look at this.
Where do
thing.
you find that?
I don't know. My parents brought it from overseas.
Oh, they
Okay.
made it.
Okay, look at this thing. There's pistachios in the center, and I don't know what's encasing it, but it's one of the best sweets that you'll ever have in your life.
Pistachios.
Yeah, I like. You see how much is missing out of the box? Yeah, I ate it by
Because
myself.
you ate it all. Yeah, I know how good that stuff is. It's very good. The best. It's the best. I don't know the names of all the sweets, but they're incredible. It takes a lot of time to make them too. All the layers of the thin bread they use.
Pistachio pudding. That's interesting. I never had that.
Yeah. Like in France, there's the bakers, they make a lot of different sweets, but they don't have the time to mess with baklava. It's just a lot of work. But they do make a little bit of it. It always sells for more than everything else, though.
Right.
Because it's the best. I mean, if you ever tried eating sweets and picking the best sweet to eat, it's the one that's got the walnuts and the honey and the sugar and the thin slice of bread. I don't know if it's bread or what they call that thin stuff, but they make pastries
This is
out
really
of it.
good. It's like you can't have just one. It's like chips, you know?
It's like bread paper bread.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. I don't eat it because I'll get a liver failure. The sugar's too much. I can't handle the sugar. Diabetes, I guess.
You have diabetes?
I think so. If I eat too much sugar, I start
Do you have
getting dizzy.
diabetes?
If I eat too much sugar, I get
there's no-
dizzy.
Well, yeah, anybody that eats sugar, they're gonna test positive for diabetes. But if you wake up in the morning and you go do a blood work on it, you're not gonna have diabetes. Your blood work should
It's common
your
after a
sugar
certain
level should
age.
be at 100, 110. That's still normal. But if
steak
you're
sounds
gonna,
good right now.
huh?
Oh, nothing. I was just reading one of the chats. Said I'm craving steak.
They have like 3 or 4 forms of diabetes, isn't there? Like 2 or 3.
Yeah, there's a couple of different ones.
It's all liver related. It's just your insulin production rate, and yeah, don't want to get flagged.
That's not sugar. That's
Yeah, I
fentanyl.
don't want to get flagged.
Mr. Mission tried to pop on.
That is sugar. That's pure sugar. That's pure caramelized sugar.
It's worth eating though. It's that
Oh
good.
my god, it is.
It's the only thing I'll say. I will go out of my way to. I'll quit soda for a week just to have as much of that as I can eat. I'll quit all kinds of bread and other sugars just to have a big piece of
Baklava?
Yeah.
I know how to make that. That's like one of the easiest things to make.
It's not easy to make.
Oh
Takes
my
like
god, it's so easy.
at least an hour.
No, yeah, I could probably make it in 15 minutes max.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, literally, it's like
You're supposed to bake it, right?
It's 2 ingredients. No, 3 ingredients. You get the wafer, the dough like sheets, pistachios, and sugar. It's 3
That's
ingredients.
it?
That's it. It's 3 ingredients.
And then you bake it, right?
Yep. That's all it is. It's 3 ingredients. Yep.
What temperature are you baking?
I don't know, 365 to anywhere.
Really?
You can start it at 365, but to cook the surface of it, maybe raise it to like 400, like for 5 minutes, no more than that.
Get it to caramelize.
And the
When
whole
you
thing's
smell that sugar caramelize, you know it's done, I guess, right?
Yep. And the color. It's got to turn golden.
Yeah. It looks like honey.
I know how to cook everything. Whatever you could imagine, I know how to cook. Yeah. Dude, I have 4 kids. What do you think?
Yeah.
You know, like I've tried every little recipe that you could probably imagine, you know.
What's their favorite? What's the favorite?
Ben, let's go back to your video.
The
cooking
hologram video?
That's not the topic.
I was actually getting ready to close out the stream soon, but you guys can continue streaming. I was just gonna leave to go to bed.
What time do you have there? Your Eastern time. Right?
Yeah, 11:40 here. But Mike's streaming, and if he wants to, if you want to continue streaming, Mike, yeah, I can just close out mine and
stop when
leave
you
yours
stop
open.
your stream. I'm just using we're sharing it through the same window here.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Well then I'll probably end the stream in a few minutes. But yeah, if you guys have anything, to discuss, open floor, whatever you want, and then I'm gonna close it out maybe like 10 minutes.
So what do you guys think of it? That happened today.
You cut out. What did you say?
I was saying, what do you guys think of Apex meeting today? Did you find it informative?
I like the presenters that I seen. I didn't like that. I didn't see Gerald. That was disappointing again. I don't know what happened, but yeah, that was kind of sad that I didn't get to see Gerald's presentation. But yeah, after I heard that he wasn't going to present, I kind of just dipped, so I didn't see the rest.
I liked Mr. Eric's. I forgot his last name, but Eric's presentation. I thought that was really, 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 in depth and very informative. And there's a lot of things that it clarified in my mind on how the spectrum diffracts. The gamma ray diffraction versus how he measures the the light, if it's a gamma ray versus if it's a visible spectrum. I thought that was really interesting because it makes sense. Like, you don't want to measure the energy level in a spectrum that has 7 different outcomes versus 1. Like visible spectrum, 7 different variations. It could be just any one of them, but with the gamma rays, you have 1, so you really know the intensity of that field versus take a guess which one of the 7 is. So I thought that was really a good presentation. I didn't like John's presentation. I feel like he's always just all over the place, never sticks to anything from A to Z. So yeah, and always sidetracks the information. So that wasn't something that but he does that all the time. Yeah, but Eric's presentation I thought was fabulous. And then there was this other dude, I forgot his name, the one that was from South America somewhere, that kept on. He wasn't, I felt like he was off a bit on his information. Yeah, but I like Curtis's information. He's got a very solid a piece of equipment there, but he never answers that question when I tell him, what if you put that little device in water? Does it move? He never answers that question. It's like,
you won't put it in water.
Take your little motor, stick it in a tub of water, attach it to a string. Tell me, is it moving? Like, because it would mimic fluid dynamics. Is it going to move? Because that's what the ether is. It has that density. And he never answers that question. Yeah, he shows it like in just an open open air. But what if you put it in water? Is it going to move? You know?
Well, you don't mean put it in water. You mean put it in a jug that keeps it dry but is floating in water, right?
What is it?
You don't
Say
mean
that again?
submerge it in water. You mean put it in a boat so it floats on water, and then run it.
Maybe, but you know, we never discuss things in fluids. We always discuss things in space or in, you know, vacuum space. But fluids really do mimic the density of space, at least parts of it. So, you know, a lot of experiments should be in water or, you know, above water still. That's just the surface layer. You've got wind effect. But inside of water, that, you know,
we can see how the currents interact with one another. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't think he wants.
Chris
doesn't want to get his device all, you know, wet with water. It's
Yeah,
made
but
out
it's
of
already
metal.
it's already encased in something that's, you know,
I don't
water
think it's
resistant.
waterproof.
I don't know, but I think it should be tested out in water.
He could put it on a floating device and vacuum seal that, and then submerge that in water.
Okay, but I want to
Right.
see if the thrust in that little
You
machine
epoxy seal it.
moves in water. Oh,
He probably
I
spent
like
5
the
years building that
Michelson
thing.
Morley experiment. That was my favorite because that was like, wow, like that was something that we could see that was, you know, kind of obvious.
yeah, the one with the lead shielding.
That was the one where they had the laser spinning, and they had the mirrors, and placed in specific positions. Yeah. And then the traditional Michelson Morley, they showed the traditional experiment how it was horizontal, and then they flipped it vertical, and it actually produced a interference pattern that was moving and shifting, and it was like, wow, that's exactly what they were looking for, and they didn't find, and it was so like such a simple fix, and I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, yeah,
that was
Tim,
the rotating one.
It didn't make sense
Yeah.
how those lights were moving with the, you know, they were moving when the disc was rotating. The lights were not supposed to move.
The interference pattern, yeah.
But they did.
They
Because
shifted.
of the outside light was getting in and interfering, I guess. I don't know.
There's some kind of differential between the light speed, I guess. It's something to do with the interaction between the aether or the drift. I'm not quite sure I fully understand it. I still have to do some research on it, but it was pretty cool to see. And he kind of broke it down in a way that we could understand, like, this was the traditional experiment, and this is what they did wrong, and this is what we did to fix it. And you can see, you know, like, this is what they were looking for, and this is what we found. Before I close it out, I wanted to say that Tim did mention before that he wanted to have me on APEC to present my coil system, the rodent coil system. Unfortunately, I just blew the stereo amp receiver I got, so I'm gonna have to replace that.
Oh no, you just got that.
Yeah, I took it apart and I tested the fuse. The fuse is fine. The capacitors look fine. It
Did you
didn't
see that link
smell
I
or
sent
burn or
you?
anything.
I
But
emailed
yeah,
you a
no.
link for it's a $10 pulse width modulator. You can
Yes. I'm
tune
gonna
it
order
with a
both
knob.
those parts on Amazon, and then we're gonna attach it to the new, the system to
Don't
prevent
buy
that
another
from happening.
stereo. Just hook it up to a 12-volt battery.
Oh, I could do
Go
you better.
return
I
it.
got the
You just
warranty.
better go return it.
Yeah, I got the warranty.
Yeah, tell them like your thing sucks. Give me a new
Yeah,
one.
no, it's a very cheap one. So, but if we can add that component, it'll prevent that from happening. You know, it won't have all that extra energy going back, because you know what happened when I blew it. I actually got the neodymium sphere to spin without having to give it the kickstart, without having to spin it myself, and I did that by increasing
I was wondering why you look so depressed.
I did that by increasing the channel all the way to the right, which, you know, the coil's utilizing the right channel. The reference is the left channel, so it's not using the left channel. So I gave it that extra boost, and I slowly increased the bass. And it just it started, you know, going, yeah.
The bass,
but then it kind of died. Then it didn't work anymore.
I mean, you know, you can just use a 12-volt battery. You can't blow that out. It's just a battery, but you can blow a $10 pulse width modulator.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not a big deal. You know, it's not like a $300 stereo,
right? Well, we'll hook that up. I'm hoping to hook that up by next weekend or the weekend after, depending on when I get the parts.
The pulse width modulator, they sent you that link, the $10 one. It does square wave. You can change, I think, some of the waveforms and the duty cycle, and you have a large bandwidth of frequencies.
Well, I'm gonna be getting you.
You can turn it with a knob.
I'm gonna be getting you on live stream with me, and we'll be building it together. How's that?
It's not gonna be.
Plus, the next APEX is a month from now. You know, you should have enough time to.
Yeah. I should be fine. But
But yeah,
that will
take him up on that. You should.
It's 150 watt. You can handle. You can put 150 watts.
Ben, take him up on that. Like, it gives you greater exposure. You know, because a lot of people in those conferences aren't just fans or, you know, hobbyists, or a lot of them are, you know, people that do invest in others and grants and things like that. So I think you should.
Oh, we're getting some kind of echo.
Did you do something different?
No, I brought Mr. Mission on. How you doing?
Oh, hey, the light bends magnetic field. The laser light bend magnetic field. And I was gonna say, if you stack your Taurus 9 high or 9 inside of each other, it feels like a scalar, and then you shoot an infrared laser through it.
Infrared laser.
Yes, shoot it through the coil.
Through the Taurus.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I should do that.
The magnetic field might bend the laser.
Yeah, no, that's a cool experiment. I'm gonna keep note of that for sure, because that's a simple one that I can do.
Is there still an echo?
No, I'm actually gonna end the stream though in a minute. But I just wanted to thank everybody, and thank you, Mr. Mission, for that. That's very, very cool experiment that we can do. Very simple one.